What's good everyone, it's Kajani with a crafting and gathering prep guide for Final Fantasy XIV patch 6.3. Before we get into the actual preparation, let's go over what we can expect for crafting and gathering in patch 6.3. In patch 6.3, we can expect new crafting and gathering tools, gear, and accessories, all of which will be the final set of crafted gear for Disciple of Hand and Disciple of Land that will be released in Endwalker. You will want to eventually upgrade to this new gear set as it will be best in slot for the remainder of the expansion. In addition to the new gear, tools, and accessories that will be released in patch 6.3, we can also expect new crafting materials that will be gathered from legendary nodes, as well as a brand new Aether Sand. Also, based on prior release patterns, we can expect new endgame crafting and gathering food. And as they tend to do with food of this type, one of the main crafting materials will include a rare fish. Speaking of fish, patch 6.3 will introduce another set of big fish to catch and a much appreciated quality of life feature. In patch 6.3, the fishing log will be updated so that we will now be able to see the primary fishing locations, preferred bait, and additional conditions to catch fish in the fishing log itself. This is great, especially if you forgot what bait to use to catch a fish or how many fish you need to catch to spawn a particular fish. Another thing to expect in patch 6.3 is that the developers will be adding a new spearfishing location in Upper Lenosia. If you're working on catching all the fish in Final Fantasy XIV, be sure to check it out because I am sure they will be introducing some new fish in this spearfishing location. So with the introduction of a new spearfishing location, will we finally get that level 90 spearfishing gig in patch 6.3? Probably not, but we can definitely hope though. Moving on, in 6.3, we will be getting a new custom delivery client. His name is Andon, and this poor guy used to be a shepherd in Ilmeg until the pixies turned him into one of these bush monster type things that you see on the screen here. Hopefully by the end of his story, we can turn him back into his human form. Something to be aware of with your preparation for patch 6.3 is the possibility that the developers release glowing versions of weapons that dropped from previously released extreme trials. If they happen to go in order of when the fights were released, I believe the weapons from Cinderdrift Extreme will get the glow up in patch 6.3. There is also a possibility of Seed of Sacrifice as well if they happen to release two weapons at the same time. If they do, in order to craft the glowing weapons from these fights, you will need a ruby plate from Cinderdrift Extreme and a plate of light that drops from Seed of Sacrifice Extreme. Overall, the fights aren't that difficult and can be cleared in about 5 to 6 minutes. In addition to plating, to craft these weapons, you will also need materials that can be gathered from legendary nodes introduced back in Shadowbringers and crafting materials sold by the NPC A-Mark in Yulmore. Another expectation that will help you in your preparation for Final Fantasy XIV patch 6.3 is that we should be able to augment the crafted Renescata gear that was released in patch 6.2. Simply put, augmenting the gear will boost its item level, thus providing an easy option for new players to get some gear in order to start Savage raiding. For crafters and gatherers, this will present an opportunity to make some gil if you want to craft some pieces or gather mats for the gear and put them on the market board. Now let's go over how to prepare your crafters and gatherers for patch 6.3. Make sure you have the Master 9 and 10 recipe books for your Disciple of Hand, as well as the Tomes of Folklore for your Disciple of Land. This is going to give you access to whatever the new recipes, gathering nodes, and big fish that will be released in patch 6.3. In addition to capping your crafting and gathering scripts before the patch, make sure you cap your Tomes of Astronomy. Based on prior trends, there is a possibility that the crafting materials that I've listed on the screen will be used to craft the new gear, tools, and accessories that will be released in patch 6.3. To help you with all your crafting and gathering endeavors, be sure to stock up on the essentials that are also listed on the screen. That's going to be your calamari, your tiganita, high quality crafted syrup, all that good stuff. To continue our preparation for patch 6.3, you are going to need a lot of crafting and gathering materia. This is because this time around, you're going to have to meld both your left side and your right side of your gear in some capacity. Unless you have a lot of gills saved up, it's best to use collectibles and custom deliveries as your primary means of getting crafting and gathering scripts. Then you can use your scripts to purchase whatever materia that you need. It is a safe bet to stock up on your 9s and 10s for both crafting and gathering materia. You may want to hold off on purchasing any other types of materia until the optimal melds for both the high tier sets and the mid tier sets have been determined. If you're looking for some free ways to get materia, you have your island sanctuary where you can trade in calories for crafting and gathering materia, and if you've already gotten everything you need from the Omicron tribal quests, you can turn in your tokens for gathering materia. To farm materia for your crafters, your go-to for white scripts is going to be the rarefied integral armile, and for purple scripts, it's going to be the rarefied Psychon Bavarios. To farm white scripts for your gathering classes, you have ocean fishing or fishing for the fleeting brand, and for purple scripts, your go-to is the kite fin shark. If fishing for gathering scripts doesn't work for you, you can always gather collectibles for white and purple scripts. Once you have a comfortable amount of materia, I advise you to craft and store enough collectibles in your inventory to cap your white and purple scripts for both your Disciple of Hand and your Disciple of Land. Hoarding collectibles to turn them in on patch day is one of the most important things that you can do in preparation for Final Fantasy XIV patch 6.3. The additional supply of collectibles is going to give you the opportunity to purchase any additional materia that you may need once the optimal melds have been determined, or purchase any new crafting materials that are introduced in patch 6.3. For example, if we get a new Aether Sand in patch 6.3, you should be able to purchase it using purple scripts from any script exchange vendor. That's all I got for this preparation guide for Final Fantasy XIV patch 6.3. If you have any additional questions, let me know in the comments. If I missed anything, also let me know. Thanks as always for watching. I will catch y'all in the next video. Until next time, peace.